It's midnight, your bedroom is hitting 29 degrees, you're sweating, staring at the ceiling, and absolutely desperate for relief. So you do what everyone does, you throw open the window. But here is the brutal truth. Opening that window might actually be heating your house up even more. Your comfort is literally going out the window. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly when natural cooling fails completely and how you can stop making the really expensive mistakes that are ruining your sleep.
Just look at that number, 29 degrees at midnight. It's a miserable reality for so many of us right now. And the absolute universal advice you hear everywhere is, oh, just open your windows at night to cool down, right? Well, the actual data shows this is dead wrong about half the time. By the end of this, you'll know exactly when to seal your house up tight like a vault and when to actually open it up. And it's all backed by concrete numbers that'll fundamentally change how you handle extreme heat.
So why on earth is opening the window making things worse? Well, the physics are actually super simple, but we ignore them out of habit. The very second the outdoor air gets warmer than your indoor air, an open window isn't a cooler anymore, it's a massive heater. Think about it. If it's 29 outside and 27 inside, opening your window completely destroys your home's thermal defenses. You're just pumping hot air straight into your living space, making a bad situation so much worse. And that brings us to this absolutely crucial trigger point. It's called the tropical night. This is the exact moment natural cooling hits a brick wall. It happens when the outdoor temperature never drops below 20 degrees Celsius overnight. Once you cross that line, your house has literally nowhere to dump its built-up heat. The natural cooling engine just completely dies. If you ignore this threshold, you're frying blind, just hoping for relief from an environment that simply can't give it to you. Now, here is where it gets kind of wild and turns our usual assumptions totally upside down. You think a heavy, solid brick or stone house would keep you way cooler than a flimsy modern build, right? Actually, scratch that. It's the total opposite. Those heavy building materials act like massive heat batteries. They soak up the sun's energy all day long, just charging up. And then, well, at 2 a.m. when you're just trying to get some sleep, they release all that stored heat straight back into your bedroom. That beautiful stone wall is literally radiating heat right at you. So, here's your ultimate simplified golden rule. Forget the clock, forget the calendar. Rely entirely on your thermometer. Just compare the outside to the inside. If the outdoors is warmer, close everything. Windows, doors, those little trickle vents, seal it up tight. But if the outdoors is cooler than the indoors, open everything. Throw the doors wide. That thermometer is your absolute best friend for surviving the summer. Okay, so right about now, here is what most homeowners completely miss. I see this all the time. It's an incredibly common, really expensive mistake you might even be making today, thinking you're fixing the heat, while you're actively making your home hotter. It happens every single summer without fail, and it all comes down to how we try to block the sun. The mistake is relying entirely on interior blinds. We pull down those interior roller blinds and just assume we're blocking the heat. But think about the physics here for a second. By the time sunlight hits that interior blind, it has already passed through your glass window. The heat is already inside your house. That blind just traps it, basically turning the little gap between the glass and the fabric into a radiator. You need exterior shading, like shutters, external blinds, or awnings. That blocks the sun before it ever touches the glass. It's a total game changer. Just look at this impact, a massive 10 degrees. Exterior shading can keep the window surface itself more than 10 degrees cooler compared to using interior blinds. 10 degrees! If you want to protect your home and honestly your wallet from extreme heat, shading the glass from the outside is absolutely your first line of defense. Literally, if you do nothing else we talk about today, tackle this one step. All right, let's move on and bust a myth that just refuses to die. Does leaving a fan on actually cool down an empty room? People leave desk fans oscillating in empty bedrooms for hours, hoping they'll walk into a nice, cool space later. No way. If you point a thermometer at a running fan in a closed room, the temperature doesn't drop a single decimal point. See, moving air only cools humans. It pulls heat off our skin faster, which feels amazing, kind of like a 2 to 4 degree drop, but it's only cooling you, not the air itself. Which leads us to this kind of harsh reality. Leaving a fan running in an empty room isn't just a total waste of electricity, it's actively working against you. The motor of the fan is secretly adding a small amount of heat to the space, so you are literally paying money to make an empty room hotter. Crazy, right? But, eventually, natural methods just surrender. There are 3 critical triggers when natural cooling completely fails you. 1, night temperatures stay consistently higher than indoors. 2, humidity climbs past 65%, which stops your sweat from evaporating. And 3, the heat holds for more than 3 straight days.
You hit any of these, and mechanical cooling is no longer just a luxury, it's a strict necessity for your safety and well-being. But if you decide to go out and buy an AC, beware, because there is one specific type of air conditioner that is secretly wasting your money. I'm talking about those cheap, single-hose portable AC units you see stacked high in every hardware store the second a heat wave hits. They look like a great quick fix, right? But they are a massive financial trap. Here is the physics of why they are so terrible. It's called negative pressure. A single hose unit blasts hot exhaust air out the window, but every single liter it pushes out has to be replaced. So it acts like a giant vacuum, sucking hot outdoor air back inside through every gap, crack, and keyhole in your house. The unit is constantly fighting itself, struggling to ever really get the room below 26 degrees. The alternative, the one that actually works, is a fixed split AC system. This completely separates the whole operation. The noisy compressor sits outside, and the quiet cooling unit sits inside. And because there is no giant exhaust hose blowing air out, you completely eliminate that negative pressure problem entirely. It cools the air that's already inside your room, without sucking in all that heat from the outside. And here is the math your installer probably won't even tell you. People avoid fixed ACs because they think the running costs are going to totally bankrupt them. But a modern inverter split system running under light to moderate use can often cost less than €1 per day, not per hour, per day. It is incredibly efficient if you just use it correctly. Of course, that low running cost isn't magic. It all comes down to your unique setup. A massive room? That'll cost more. Poor shading? Higher cost. And if you're demanding a freezing 18-degree room in August, yeah, that will immediately spike your bill. But with good exterior shading and a totally reasonable target temperature, your daily cost stays incredibly low. Your own habits dictate the math here. Oh, and there is also a major solar connection you have to consider. If you happen to have solar panels on your roof, your peak daytime cooling demand usually aligns perfectly with your maximum solar output. Think about it. When the sun is absolutely blasting your house, your panels are generating peak free energy. That overlap can drop your daily air conditioning costs to practically zero during the afternoon. It's a perfect match.
So let's bring it all together. Here is your actionable, totally screenshotable defense strategy. Step 1, shade your windows from the outside before the sun ever hits the glass. Step 2, only open your windows when your thermometer actually proves the outdoor air is cooler than the inside. Step 3, bring in the AC deliberately based on those 3 failure triggers we talked about, not just out of a sudden 2 a.m. panic.
But before we wrap this up, beware of the mistake that undoes absolutely everything. If you perfectly seal your house shut for days on end during a heat wave, your indoor air quality is going to plummet. Humans breathe out carbon dioxide, and a completely sealed bedroom traps it all night long. You have to balance your thermal defense with fresh, breathable air. Otherwise, you're just trading one hazard for another. Ultimately, the core takeaway here is that your cooling equipment is a backup. It is not your only defense. If you just fix the sequence, getting your exterior shading right, and timing your ventilation strictly by the thermometer, you solve the vast majority of what makes a European home completely unbearable during a summer heat wave. Now, every house is built a little differently, and finding the exact right sequence for yours is crucial. If you want your specific home assessed so you can avoid these expensive mistakes, you can check out epbdpro.com. But I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Why is it that brand new, highly energy efficient, heavily insulated homes often overheat even worse in the summer than drafty old ones? Think about that for a bit, because that is exactly what we're going to uncover in our next explainer.